16, in the short run, a market consists of 100 identical firms. The market price is $8 and the total cost to each firm of producing various levels of output is given in the table below. What will total quantity supplied be in the market? Well, we always produce where we maximize profit at marginal revenue equals marginal cost. We know that here the marginal revenue is always going to be the market price because it's a perfectly competitive firm, so let's find the marginal costs. The marginal cost of the moving from the 0 to 1 is 6. The marginal cost of moving from 1 to 2 is 7. The marginal cost of moving from 2 to 3 is 8. The marginal cost of moving from 3 to 4 is 9. So then we know we're going to stop producing at that third unit. So then each firm stops producing at that third unit. We have 100 identical firms. 3 times 100 is equal to 300. So we get a solution of 300 units. 17, suppose that for a particular firm, the only variable input into the production process is labor, and that output equals 0 when no workers are hired. In addition, suppose that when 4 units of output are produced, the total cost is $175 and the average variable cost is $33.75. What would the average fixed cost be if 10 units were produced? So we have total cost and we have variable cost here. Similarly, we know that the output equals 0 when no workers are hired. So then at a cost of 4 units, we have to say 33.75 times 4. That's going to give us our total costs. So then we go 4 times 5 is 0, carry the 2. 4 times 7 is 28, that's 0. Carry the 3. 4 times 3 is 12, 5, carry the 1, 135. So then our total variable costs are going to be $135, which means we can find our total fixed costs. So if we take that 175 of our total costs, subtract off our total variable costs of 135, we get 40. So then 40 is equal to our total fixed costs. To find the fixed costs, the average fixed cost for 10 units, we just divide that by Q. Which is 40 over 10, which is equal to 4. Our answer is A. 18. For the firm whose production function and costs are specified in the table, its average variable cost curve is. What's happening to our variable costs? They go up by 15, and then 15, and then 15, and then 15, and then 15. So the average variable cost curve is 0 divided by 0. 15 divided by 1 is just 15, 30 divided by 2 is just 15, 45 divided by 3 is just 15. Since the variable costs are always going up by 15, we know that our average variable cost curve is actually constant. When marginal cost is rising, average variable cost must also be what? Well, we don't actually know, so if we look at our lovely little graph here of what these curves typically look like, we know that the marginal cost curve always intersects our average variable cost curve at the minimum. But it's rising here and it's rising here. So the answer is going to be the average variable cost curve could be rising or could be falling because we see that on either side of that, the marginal cost curve is also rising, so that the answer must be D. Question 20. Refer to figure 13.5. Curve D intersects curve C. Well, curve D must be what? It must be some sort of marginal cost curve, and curve C must be some sort of average cost curve. So then it's going to intersect right here at the minimum. Is it going to be fixed costs? No, because remember, fixed costs are always falling. So then our average fixed costs, average fixed costs are always falling. So then we can get rid of that. Is this necessarily where the firm maximizes profit? No. Is this where fixed costs equal variable costs? No. It is in fact at the efficient scale. Remember, the efficient scale is going to be the minimum average total costs. So we know that C must be our average total cost curve. And then B must be our average variable cost curve. 21. When a monopolist chooses the output that maximizes profit, we know marginal revenue equals marginal cost, and also that price is greater than marginal revenue. This is inefficient because the monopolist fails to make the transactions where marginal benefit is greater than marginal cost. That's why we get deadweight loss from a monopoly, because they're not actually producing the efficient market outcome. 22. Sebastian decides to open a tree farm. When deciding to open his own business, he turned down two separate job offers of $25,000 and $30,000 and withdrew $20,000 from his savings. Sebastian's savings account paid 1% interest. He also borrowed $10,000 from his brother, whom he pays 2% interest per year. He spent $15,000 to purchase supplies and earned $50,000 in revenue during his first year. Which of the following is correct? His economic profit and his accounting profit are going to be different. His accounting profit is probably the easiest to find because that's actual outlays of money. So for the $50,000 for accounting, we need to take away all of the money that he's actually spending. So that $15,000 to purchase supplies. And then we also need to take away that 2% that he's actually paying in interest a year on that $10,000 he borrowed from his brother. So then 2% of that is going to be $200. So then this is going to put us down to $34,800. Well, the only answer where that's the case is going to be right here. So this might be the case, but let's look at what else is going on here. He withdrew $2,000 from his savings, so that's not going to be explicit, and then he gave up these two job offers. Well, we're only going to consider the job offer that would have been best for him, which would have paid him the $30,000. So in order to do economic profit, we're going to have to go ahead and take that $30,000 out of this. So this is accounting profit. And then our economic is going to be that 34,800 minus the 30,000 that he could have been making in another job, minus what he was earning on his savings account of 1%, which is going to be $200. And that leaves us with $4,600. So the answer must be B. 23, Christina is an artist, custom cookie jars. Her annual revenue from selling the cookie jars is $90,000. The annual explicit costs of the materials used is $54,000. So we know that explicit costs are going to function into everything. So we might as well do that first and say 90,000 minus 54,000 is equal to 36,000. Further, she took out this 5,000 to buy her tools, which paid 1%, and she could earn 6,000 a year as a tax preparer. The economic profit is going to take both of those things into account. So then we want to take that 36,000, subtract off the 6,000 she would be making if she took a job. That leaves us with 30,000. And then we want to take away this 1% that she could be making on the 5,000, which is just $500. I apologize, that's $50. And that leaves us with $29,950, which leaves us with D as our answer. 24, if the market elasticity of demand is perfect in a perfectly competitive market is negative 0.03, then the individual farmer's elasticity of demand is going to be infinite. Remember, in the perfectly competitive market, you can always buy one more or sell one more at the market price, which means that the farmer can always sell one more at the market price. So it's going to be their individual demand curve is going to be a straight line. And when it looks like an E, it's perfectly elastic. "25. Which of the following reason describes the fundamental barriers for monopoly in this figure?" It's going to be the production process because, as we can see, our average total cost and our marginal costs are very, very high at the beginning, which means the costs for entering this market are what are prohibiting people from entering this market.